Think about a smell that takes you back. Maybe it's sunscreen and salt water from a summer when you were 10, or your grandmother's kitchen, some combination of warmth and spice. You can't exactly name but would recognize anywhere, or a song that plays in a grocery store. And for 3.5 minutes, you are completely somewhere else. The memory arrives all at once. Not just an image, a feeling. The texture of that time, the way the light fell, the weight of being that age, in that place, with those people. You're there for a moment, and then you're not. What's left is a feeling that doesn't quite have a name in English. It's not sadness, not exactly. It's not happiness either. It lives somewhere between the two. Sweet and aching at the same time. Warm and a little painful. The pleasure of having had something mixed with the quiet sorrow of having lost it. The Japanese have a word for this. Natsukashii. Natsukashii pronounced. Natsukashii is used in everyday Japanese conversation. Someone might hear an old song and say it the way we might say, "That takes me back," or "classic." But the word carries more weight than any of those translations suggest. It describes the particular quality of longing for something that was good and is gone. Not regret. Regret involves wishing you had acted differently. Not grief. Grief is the sharp, fresh loss of something recent. Natsukashii is quieter than both. It's the feeling of standing at a distance from something you loved and being moved by the view. The word has roots in the Japanese word for summer. Natsu combined with a suffix that expresses a kind of yearning, literally longing for summer. Over centuries, it stopped referring to any specific season and came to describe the emotional texture of any time that has passed and holds something worth missing. What makes Natsukashii distinct from simple sadness is its warmth. It doesn't feel like a wound. It feels more like a candle held inside the chest, soft, flickering, illuminating something real. There is gratitude in it, even joy if you look closely. Why does this happen at all? Why do happy memories sometimes ache? The neuroscience gives a surprisingly clear answer. When you recall a memory from the past, your brain doesn't simply replay a recording. It reconstructs the experience, activating the same neural circuits that were active when the original event occurred. The reward systems fire. The social regions that encoded the people involved come online. The emotional centers register the significance of the moment, as if for the first time. But layered over all of this is the present moment, the knowledge that this is memory, not reality, that the people may have changed or gone, that the place may not exist anymore, that you cannot go back. The brain holds both simultaneously, the warmth of the original experience and the awareness of the distance. Two emotional realities occupying the same instant. That collision is what produces the particular feeling of Natsukashii. The pleasure comes from the memory. The ache comes from the gap between then and now. Researchers at the University of Southampton, who have spent decades studying nostalgia, found something that surprised them. Nostalgic memory doesn't just produce pleasant feelings temporarily, it functions as a genuine psychological resource. People who engage with nostalgic memories report feeling more connected to others even when physically alone. They feel a stronger sense of personal continuity. The sense that there is a coherent self that has moved through time, making choices, building a life. The past is evidence. Evidence that beauty has existed. That connection is real. That difficult times have been navigated. That you have survived and been loved. But here is the problem. Most of us have learned, somewhere along the way, to treat this feeling as suspect. We call it living in the past. We associate it with people who can't move on, who are stuck, who refuse to accept that things change. We tell ourselves to stay present, to look forward, to let go. And so when Natsukashii arrives, when the song plays, when the smell finds us, many people push it away quickly. They change the station. They tell themselves it doesn't help to think about it. This instinct isn't entirely wrong. Nostalgia held too tightly can become a way of avoiding the present. There are people who use memory as an escape, retreating into an idealized past, rather than building anything new, who compare the present unfavorably to what was and find the present always lacking. But the Japanese relationship with Natsukashii suggests that the feeling itself is not the problem. How we hold it is the problem. Japanese culture has a long tradition of making space for emotions, rather than resolving them, of sitting with a feeling long enough to see what it contains. The tea ceremony does this through deliberate slowness, slowing the body down until there is room for what is actually present. Haiku does this through compression, reducing language to a moment, so small that only the feeling remains. mono-no-aware. The awareness of impermanence does this through beauty, allowing the fact of ending to make the present more vivid. Natsukashii fits within this tradition, not as something to drown in, not as something to dismiss, but as a feeling to be entered for a moment, seen clearly and then released. Here is something worth considering. What you feel Natsukashii about is a map, not a map of where you have been that you already know, a map of what you value, of what mattered enough to leave a mark, of where in your life something real was happening. The moments that produce this particular feeling are never random. They are the moments that contained something, a quality of connection, of belonging, of beauty, of being fully known, a time when the life you were living and the life you wanted felt like the same thing. A man might feel Natsukashii about a summer he spent building something with his hands, and realize that what he misses is not the summer itself, but the quality of that work, the presence it required, the way time moved when he was in it. A woman might feel it about a particular friendship from 20 years ago, and realize that she has not been that known, that seen, that easy with someone, since Natsukashii in this sense is not just memory. It is a signal, a pointing. It says here, this thing that made you feel this way, this quality, this texture, this kind of presence in the world. You have had this before. You know what it feels like? And that means you know what you're looking for. The feeling is not an accident. It is information. In older Japanese neighborhoods in the back streets of Kyoto, in certain corners of Tokyo, there are shops that specialize in what could only be called the aesthetics of Natsukashii. They sell objects from previous decades old. Tin toys with their original paint still, bright vintage packaging from candies and medicines, and cosmetics that no longer exist, the particular graphic design of a period that has passed. People browse these shops for hours, touching things, holding them, feeling something. This is not considered strange. It is considered human, a recognized and valid need to make physical contact with a time that mattered, to let the past be present for a moment, to allow the feeling to arise without immediately moving past it. The broader culture around Natsukashii is one of legitimacy. The Japanese don't treat the longing for what has passed as weakness or failure. They treat it as evidence that you were paying attention, that the life you lived made an impression, that something was worth missing. Compare this to the Western tendency to treat nostalgia as indulgence, to see it as something to be outgrown, managed, set aside in favor of pragmatic forward motion. This stance has its uses, but it also costs something. It means moving through life without fully acknowledging what it has contained. There is a particular time of day that produces Natsukashii reliably, at least for many people. Late afternoon, when the light begins to angle and the day starts its descent. Or early evening in summer when the heat breaks slightly and the air shifts. Something about that quality of light. That temperature, that transitional hour, touches something. It's not the light itself. It's what that quality of light has encoded across a lifetime. Every late afternoon you've ever lived through, every summer evening, every moment when the day was turning and something in you knew it. In those moments, something in you recognizes something outside you. And for a few seconds, the present and the past inhabit the same space. The Japanese don't try to hold on to this. They know it will pass. They don't try to analyze it away either. They simply let it be what it is, a visitation, a moment of contact with what has already happened, arriving to remind you that you were there, that it was real, that your life has texture and depth and things in it worth missing. Not every moment will be remembered, but some will, and the ones that return unbidden, in a smell or a song, or a particular light are the ones that made you pay attention to what moves you in that particular way. It knows something about you that you may have forgotten. Follow for more ideas like this, the kind that take the feelings you already have and show you what's inside them.